All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to come and join us today. So, a few familiar names and a few unfamiliar names. So, great to see you all here. We'll just let everybody else in. All right. We're on a fairly tight schedule this morning, so we'll get straight into it. Today's session is really all about introducing the why of governance and emphasising our experience and what we see as the importance of a good governance structure in an organisation, especially one dealing with multiple facets of change. So I'm Steve Yannicelli. I'm the Chief Client Officer for IT Integrity. Many of you will know me. With me, I've got Simon. Simon, a quick intro from yourself, and then Phil.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So my name's Simon Dolling, and I head up Smartsheet, head of enterprise, basically across the ANZ region for Smartsheet. Thanks very much.
Awesome. Philip Hannas, I'm the PMO manager here at IT Integrity.
Awesome. And we'll Simon and I will race through our bits to let Phil be the star of the show, as he is, being the PMO and the brains behind this operation here. So, yeah, look, we'll get into it. Quick intro, as I sort of said, why governance matters. We'll get into some of the human factors of ROI. Good governance is about accelerating your change outcome, and what's involved in that. Simon will take over from there and talk about the tool set that we've built our PMO-as-a-Service around, and some of the topics there. And then, as I say, Phil will give a demo of the toolkit, and we'll open up for some discussion, hopefully at the end. So lots to get through. So quick intro to IT Integrity. We've been around since 2001. We actually started primarily as a management consulting company, and that was really shaped our program portfolio management capabilities. We've had a dedicated 14 years in the care services sector, so that rounded out, gives us a deep understanding of what's happening in care services, but we're also across multiple sectors, finance, retail, legal, and other. So I'll reserve the full IT Integrity intro spiel to those that want to follow up afterwards and have more of a chat around what we do and how we do it, and we'll get on to it. So IT Integrity started in 2001, as I said, with a core ethos. That core ethos is unchanged, and it really flows into this project management as a service capability of ours as an organisation. We see this as a centre of excellence in our business. From a portfolio perspective, we're running upwards of 250 to 350 projects at any given time. So visibility is key. Understanding what's going on in each of those projects at any given moment is paramount to our success and obviously for the success of our clients. So, our ethos back in 2001, as I said, remains unchanged. It's all about understanding what the business is trying to achieve and focusing your energy, effort, investment, and change towards that outcome. We believe that technology is an enabler and an accelerator of those outcomes, of those organisational outcomes, and your investment should be focused on underpinning those organisational outcomes. It's all good to plan and have that strategy from the outset, but I think it's really key to have a means to continually align those two things. So, and that's where good governance comes in. Being able to, recognise challenges, opportunities, threats that come into the organisational journey, and have a means to steer decisions back to that business strategy is key. And in everything that we do, best practice outcomes are right size and a right fit, best practice framework to achieve the result is key. So why governance is the missing layer? Organizations, by nature of being an organization, is about people collaborating, invoking change, fulfilling an obligation, roles, responsibilities. So how do you set that organization on a continual improvement journey? How do you make it a better place tomorrow than it is today? And that's where the governance topic comes into play. You need the visibility across what the organization is doing in a BAU perspective, but also how it's enhancing itself. Many of our organizations are running multiple projects at any given time, and that could be in the technology space, it could be a capital works project, it could be a client experience upgrade, or whatever it's going to be. So yeah, having visibility of all the moving parts in the organization is key. As I said, from a portfolio perspective, yeah, very few of us here will be running one project at any given time. I think organizations, especially with this pace of tech these days, are moving a lot faster than that. So it's key to be able to have visibility across multiple moving parts. And then the alignment is key to that as well. How do you draw synergies across multiple projects happening at any given time? Quite often in organizations, your client-facing team might be running an initiative, your back office team might be running another initiatives, but there's parallels in what they're trying to achieve, and how do you draw those synergies and overlaps? So that portfolio view is paramount. Talking now about the human side of that, and the human element of that governance experience. So it's about getting the right people in the room from a governance perspective. We run a structure called the ICT Governance Committee. As a marketer, as I named it, it's a snooze fest of a name, but could have done better. But really, it's an organizational change management capability. It's about getting the right people in the right room, talking around this governance model, and moving the organization in the right direction. Typically, that's a mixture of the key vendors associated with a project portfolio, or the organization's success portfolio, your business tech and intelligence, your line of business executives and key stakeholders, and obviously your executive to help operate from a steering perspective. When we talk about this governance committee, we look at that wheel and we look at spinning it towards the future, right? And we want that future to be upward focused, if you will. So we want to spin the organization towards a better outcome. And that's where the governance becomes the true success factor, because out of the governance structure, you should be really embedding your policies, your training, your procedures. As you're adopting change, as you're making investments, you should be looking at how do we underpin that with a new structure within the organization that will hold it there and stop that wheel spinning back down that continuous improvement journey, if that makes sense. I think the key to any change, and the word governance has a tie to change, right? The key to any change is people. The key to any organization is people. And so I just wanted to touch quickly on the human factors of change, and that's what is really underpinned by the PMO-as-a-Service as the tool set, and as the augmented staff and capability and capacity perspective, is how you get to your people and invoke change. So when we're talking about investments across technology or any other project portfolio, we talk about the human factors of change. So speed of adoption, how quickly can you as an organization adopt the change and start sign off and start the project, but also implement it. What is that speed that you get there? The ultimate utilization, so how much of the cohort within the business will use the change outcome from day one, and how quickly can you get that cohort using it, and then their proficiency within using the tool set that or the outcome of that investment. How proficiently can they use the new process? How proficiently can they use the new investment outcome? So they're the three things that we really focus on from a how do you realize the ROI of an investment, and that is accelerated obviously with that governance structure. I am racing through it given the time, but feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and we can field them at the end. All right, Simon, I've raced through my little bit. Do you want to take over sharing screen and just talk to us a little bit about the tool set that we've built this service offering on?
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Steve. Do you want to stop sharing? Let me. Thank you. Okay, give me a thumbs up, Steve, if you can see my screen. Excellent. Okay, Alrighty, so firstly, thanks very much to Integrity for having us along to talk a little bit more about Smartsheet specifically, and obviously being one of the tools that can drive adoption and drive the change that you guys potentially are looking for. So for those that aren't familiar with Smartsheet, we've been around for 19 years, 3,500 employees, recently acquired by Blackstone and Vista for a tidy sum in January this year. We really fit within two categories, which I'll show you just in a moment. But the solutions that we really drive, transformation within are really around project and portfolio management within mid-market and large enterprise organizations. And we lean heavily on our strategic planning, our service delivery, and our change management solutions within those. You'll see down the bottom right-hand corner some of the organizations in this region that currently use our solutions. I'm happy to sort of dig a little bit deeper into those as we move forward. So Smartsheet, for those that aren't familiar, on the left-hand side, we fit within a category called collaborative work management. That's very much around collaboration or through mid-market enterprise organizations and changing the way in which people work. And you'll see we sit sort of top right-hand corner there, but also very much from a project and portfolio management perspective where we have strict governance, and obviously why we fit very much in line with obviously what we're talking about today. We sit again in the top right-hand corner from a market-leading product in that category. So to add a bit of context as to where Smartsheet fits in. So a lot of the conversations that I have when I'm sat in front of organizations, their current tech stack and their ways of working look something like this, which, as you'll probably see, it's a little bit of a mess. When it comes to projects, they are managed in a variety of different ways. They are managed in very siloed ways. It might be demand intakes coming through emails, through Slack channels, through Teams, and everyone is still working in spreadsheets. When it comes to getting real-time data, transparency, and project updates, it's very, very difficult. A variety of different solutions are being used across an organization. It's just not scalable, and it's certainly very, very difficult to report on day to day. Hopefully, some of you would probably see that within the organizations that you're working with at the moment. So a core truth is that we know that 70% of transformations actually fail, and that's because organizations are not adopting the right governance, the right strategies to actually ensure that work's getting done and that the governance is taking place throughout the organization. We know that 95% of executives do not have a holistic view of the work that's happening. 88% of workers are actually struggling to collaborate at work, and 1 in 5 employees are actually looking for a new role. I think that the last one there, the 1 in 5 employees looking for a new role, is a direct byproduct of not having the right tools, not having the right frameworks in place, which means therefore their roles are significantly more difficult than they actually need to be day to day. So where does Smartsheet come in? Smartsheet is an end-to-end project management tool, and we have 6 core pillars, as you can see here. Now, one thing that I see again day to day from the conversations that I have with organizations is that where do we start? We don't want to go from 0 to 10 straight away. It's difficult to drive that adoption, and organizations don't change on a whim. It takes some time to actually get yourselves to from 1 to 10. And how do we do that? And so it's basically a maturity journey. So we call these slides here that I'm delivering now, we call them the cocktail slides, and we call them that on purpose because it really illustrates really well the maturity journey of how enterprises need to work. So if you look at the 6 sort of strategic pillars across the top, you'll see that you have, whether it's OKRs or it's intake, or whether it might be something along the lines of time tracking, every single business has a different requirement at a different point in time. Smartsheet as a product can meet organizations where they are from a maturity perspective. You do not have to build something huge straight out of the gate. So a lot of the businesses that we will speak to will say, well, we actually just need to maintain project inventory at this point in time. We need to automate some approvals. We just need a simple project toolkit so that we can have some dashboards and view the work that's getting done on a day-to-day basis. So you can start there. You can build small, start simple. The benefit is that you do not have to then throw the baby out with the bathwater and build a different tool or go back to market to have a different tool when you mature. Smartsheet is a tool that can be iterated on. It is very, very flexible, and you can add in the additional requirements that your business will need as you mature as a business and as you need to report on. Maybe it's different OKRs, it's different initiatives, or if you need to mature the complexity of the toolkits that you've actually built as well. What you'll end up with as you mature through that process is automated governance. So you'll find that spinning up brand new projects becomes a click of a button. And what that means is that all of the assets within every project, it might be a risk register, it could be RAID logs, various different dashboards, all of that work that's been done in the first instance to actually ensure that you're putting the right framework and governance in place, then turns into an automated governance click of a button. Projects get spun up with all the different assets that you require straight away, and therefore time to actually rolling out new projects is pretty much instant. And then finally, I just wanted to sort of finish off with a bit of a case study of how this has worked for a very well-known Australian organisation, obviously the Foxtel Group. Now, that disarray that you saw at the start that I sort of talked about in how organizations work was very much a real life situation for Foxtel a couple of years ago. A lot of their work was being done in different project management tools. The planning and resources were still being done in spreadsheets, and their program reporting and their reporting up to the exec steering committees was all done through PowerPoints and Word documents. So this is very much what a landscape looked like for them. After adopting Smartsheet and going on a journey of maturity there, this is what their outlook looks like right now. So from they have live reporting dashboards across all of their different portfolios. They had to bring together all of the various different Foxtel brands from Binge, KO, Foxtel, all into one. They now have reporting across all of the various different streaming channels. Executives can see all of the live updates on where the projects are up to. They have drill down capabilities from the top down to understand exactly where the work is, what's happening at that point in time, and where the various different resources are being allocated. So from a transparency perspective, they've come along leaps and bounds by adopting a governed framework across all of the different streaming channels. Alrighty, and I will now hand over to Phil, who will give you guys a bit of demonstration.
Oh, thank you very much, Simon. I'll just take the screen, and I've got to say, it's a pretty tough ask following both Steve and Simon, both excellent presenters, but I'll do my best. So today I'm going to take you through the project management toolkit that we built in Smartsheet, which consists of the project plan RAID log and change management plan template. I'll then take you through the project status reporting dashboard, where you'll get the live updates from the changes we're going to make. And then we can have a look at that in the portfolio reporting dashboard as well. Finally, I'll talk through some portfolio governance, so some deep dive asset tool that we've built to kind of conduct that governance across the projects. So let's just jump straight in. We've all seen a project plan before, so I'm not going to spend too much time in here. I will bring attention to a couple of things, first being this column here, the milestone reporting column. So reporting on milestones is as easy as just clicking a few of these checkboxes if you want to report on those items as milestones. So we're going to do that now, as I've just done, and we'll see that reported back into the dashboards. Secondly, you'll have a look here. I've highlighted it yellow. It's called RAG detail. So this is what the project manager needs to fill in if any of these RAG statuses over here are anything but green. So I've gone and pre-filled it. So we've got there that the timeline's over and the budget is at risk. So let's go ahead and make those changes. So timeline over, budget at risk. So that should be amber, and we'll go ahead and save that. So I won't spend too much time in here, but you can see that the project plan has all the different sections where you can have your phases and all the tasks sitting underneath. Let's have a look into the RAID log as well. So again, standard RAID log. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. I will make some changes in here that I can show you that will change into the dashboard as well. So if you're adding an item on here, or if you're changing one of these priorities, I'll change these two to critical, and I'll save that as well. I will talk a little bit about the importance of a RAID log. So this is part of the governance and portfolio governance especially. The RAID log is where the project manager really needs to put all of the notes from any of the meetings they're having in terms of action items, issues, decisions, or risks, and it all needs to be logged in one place. It's no good when a project manager is, having paper notes and maybe using OneNote for something else. The risk there for the portfolio manager is that we all have unplanned leave that comes on every now and then, and we really need everything in one place. So a caretaker project manager can jump in, have a look at the project plan, have a look at the RAID log, and then they can seamlessly take over the project. So let's jump into the next slide, which is the change management plan. So every project obviously is creating change in a business, and we need to have a management plan to do that. So this one here has all of the communications that are going to go out. So the title, the audience, who's distributing it, the date, the frequency, what it's going to say, and the medium of which we're going to send it out: email, Teams post, intranet, whatever it may happen to be. And of course, you've got to assign an owner to that as well. So that forms the tool set that is created every time a project is created using this system. So let's move on and let's have a look at project status reporting. Before we jump into that project status report, traditionally, like Simon mentioned, they are created in PowerPoint presentations or Word documents, and in there you'll have the project summary, what was completed last week, what's coming up in the next week. It will also include a bit on the RAID report on what's going on there, and of course the financial position of the project. So the average effort required to do that is about 30 to 60 minutes per project. So if you look at it as a portfolio of just 100 projects, that's 50 to 100 hours of effort that you're using just on portfolio status reporting for that moment. And that's an equivalent of 1.25 to 2.5 full-time employees. So these numbers rack up pretty quickly, and this is just with project status reporting. So let's have a look at that project status report. So this is it here. I'm just going to hit the refresh button at the top. And what you'll see come through now are all the changes that we made in that project. Okay, so on the left-hand side here, you've got the project summary, when it was last updated, and the project summary bit of what the project manager is saying is happening with that project this week. You've got the RAG statuses that we changed. You remember we changed the time to green and we changed the budget to amber. And if I scroll down, we get the RAG detail as to why that's in red or amber. On the right-hand side to that, it pulls directly from the project plan, the start and finish dates and how far you are through the project, percentage completed. And if you remember right at the beginning, we clicked a few things in the milestone reporting column. They now appear here in the project milestones. So underneath that, we've got the activity log. So it will suck everything from the project plan that's been done in the last 7 days and what's coming up in the next 7 days. Directly beneath that, we've got the RAID log report. So everything that's open in the RAID log will appear here. If I scroll down, you'll see those two that we changed to critical are now sitting here on the bottom. On the left-hand side to that, we've got the project team. So every project has a project team. And if you're running multiple projects, it's always handy to know who's doing which projects. If I scroll down a little further, just underneath that, we've got some quick links which go directly to the project plan and the RAID log. So all of the stakeholders can always go in there and view each of those items as well. And lastly, we have the project budget. So we've got the overall project budget in dollars, and we also are tracking the project hours. So the hours that our resources are working on the projects. So that's the project status report, fully live, and all that is required to have this up to date is for project managers to continually update their project plan and RAID logs, two things that they should be doing as part of their workflow anyway. So let's go and have a look at the overall portfolio reporting. So this is it here. I'm going to refresh it. There you go. So what we've got here right now is, if I go across the top, we've got our active projects widget, which is where we're going to see everything in one place. You can see there we've got a total of 4 projects running at the moment. If I go across a little bit over here, you've got how much the overall estimated budget is and how much is remaining. You've also got the estimated hours and how many are remaining as well for the whole portfolio. Okay, if we move down another level, we can see there that we've got 1 project in red. That's the one we've just moved into red. We've got 1 in amber and we've got 2 in green. And for each of the projects, you're going to get all of the information that you need to understand the health of that project. You get the RAG statuses, you get the percentage complete, you've got the RAG detail, so you know why it's in red or amber, and you've got a project summary in there to understand what's happened over the last week. You can also see all the financials for the project. What's really cool about this is you also, from this view, can go into any single project just by clicking these links, any project plan, RAID log, or dashboard. And you also know who the project manager is in case you need to get in touch with them. Start and finish dates, of course, on the end. I'll scroll down a little bit. Let's have a look at a few of these other widgets. We've got new projects created in the last 7 days and projects completed in the last 7 days to understand what's coming on and what's going off. And then we start with our checks and double checks. We've got this widget on the right-hand side here, which is overdue projects. And I'm looking at that right now, and I can see there's an issue with it already. I can see that the end date for the projects is past today's date, which is why it appears in here. However, the project managers have not indicated that these projects should be in red. So that warrants a governance conversation with the PMs to make sure that that is aligned. If I go down to the widget just underneath, we've got overdue milestones. So this goes into every single project plan, everywhere where we've ticked the milestone reporting section, and it brings them in here if they are overdue. So again, another check and double check to make sure with the PM what is going on with these items. On the left-hand side here, we've got a RAID by exception. So it goes into every single RAID log and pulls out all the high and critical issues, risks, assumptions, action items that are there, and this needs to be reviewed by the portfolio manager regularly. Lastly, we've got a active project Gantt chart down the bottom here, and you can see there we've changed that 1, 2, 3 aged care into red, and you can see that it keeps that status down here as well, and will change if you change it into amber or green as well. But what's important about this is you understand the start and finish dates, durations of projects, so you know when you can bring new projects on and you have the resourcing to do so. I want to talk to you a little bit about portfolio governance. So we spoke a little bit about it there, and the use of that dashboard to govern some of the projects in the portfolio. But what we also do outside of that is a governance review. So this is proactive action that you take as a portfolio or PMO manager across your portfolio. And we've created a tool in Smartsheet to do this. So let me show you that. So we've got this here, which is a project governance audit. Okay, so you select a project from the portfolio and you pop it in here, whoever the project manager is, and then you start to do a series of checks. And I'm not going to go through them all, but this first one here, as an example, tasks and phases are aligned to the scope. So how many times have we, gone through to the end of a project in a PIR and we realize that we haven't completed some of the scope items? These is the proactive types of checks that you need to do along the way to make sure that you are going to deliver the project scope. So it's as easy as going through, having a look at the project scope, making sure it's in the project plan. And if it is, go yes. If it's not, we're going to put a no, and we're going to provide some feedback to the PM. You're going to do that across all of these different fields. So we're looking at project plans, we're looking at RAID logs, and so forth. Okay, if you get to the bottom of this, you can see there, audit complete, send feedback. We're going to go yes, and we submit. Immediately, the PM will receive an email with all of the feedback that you've provided them. Now, we don't stop there because all of this is documented. So I'm going to show you that now and the value of having done this process or using this process. So every line here is one of those sheets that have been filled out that I just showed you. So across the portfolio, you can now start to see the issues that you're having with each of these fields. Okay, you can see what's being done well and what's not being done so well, and you can provide the support to the project managers to start continually improving how that portfolio health is looking. And secondly and lastly, you can also break it down per PM and work with the PM on their specific issues in those particular areas as well. So that concludes from me. Steve, back to you, mate.
Thanks, mate. That was awesome. There's obviously so much depth to what's been built there from a PMO-as-a-Service perspective. A couple of things that I just want to really touch into there, and that I've got a question there as well that I'll come to as well. But from a PM, Phil touched on it. From a project manager perspective, and whether it's a dedicated project manager or one of your key business resources running a project, they love this tool set. Project is for those that have come through the project management pathway in their careers. We all typically have hated Fridays, where you sit there all Friday, wasting your day doing all transposing your project plans into a presentation or into some kind of report that will feed up. The tool set is live by nature, and that brings efficiency to the project management team or the project management resources, but also provides live visibility right up to the executive team and to the project sponsors. So you can really see what's going on, where and when. As I said, we're running upwards of 300 projects at any given time. And from an executive perspective, and on our weekly executive meetings, we can see the 2 or 3 or the 5 or whatever it is that we need to actually discuss and as Phil said, lend that support to. So I'll jump back into my last couple of slides here. What's project management as a service? So obviously it's a consolidated tool set of real-time that enables efficiency across your portfolio or across your project management with real-time reporting. we have a bundled wraparound service that I'll talk to in a second. So it's a flexible and scaling capability as well. You can be running a handful of projects, one, two, but you can also, as I sort of said, be running at an enterprise sort of level amount of projects. Bill's shown you there, we've got those governance projects, those checkpoints, the change and communication plans built in to the tool set that will enable a good outcome. And it's finally, we as part of the onboarding to the PMO-as-a-Service, we're tailoring this environment to make sense for your business, to make sense for the project portfolio that you're running, and sort of not just accelerate what you're dealing with now, but accelerate what you're planning to deliver into the future. So as I sort of said, there's sort of a couple of service layers that we've offered, and it really depends on what your appetite is and what your need is to find where the value proposition sits for you. The PMO foundation is setting up that integrated tool set in your environment and operating it from a tool set perspective where you're going to run the race on executing and leveraging that tool set to achieve your outcomes. We have a PMO growth plan where, we've got a series of internal, a suite of internal resources, capabilities, and IP around the tool set that we've developed here, and Smartsheet as a tool set in its core. So we have an ability to step in and up your growth plan with some more integrated and active participation in your templates, in your reporting, in the dashboards and widgets that you need to make the toolset meaningful and tailored to your environment. And then finally, as I sort of said, we're for some of our clients, we are their PMO. So we're not just operating the toolset for them or helping them manage that toolset within their environments. We are actively putting portfolio managers over their project suite or over their project portfolio, and into the project management space as well. So really augmenting their capacity and capability to achieve the outcome. One of the first questions I've got here is typical size of organization or volume of projects where you need a tool set like this. I think Simon answered that for me, with a 70% failure rate. What's the cost of failure is my response to that. We're all running project portfolios and they're all intended to better our organizations and deliver some kind of ROI, efficiency, or outcome to our business. And so, where you define the line of a valuable investment is how much will it complement, accelerate, or underpin you achieving those outcomes. So yeah, we're seeing organizations, as I said, use this across a handful, 1, 2, 3 projects. We're seeing organizations use this to manage their clients' projects and the delivery of their client outcomes. And we're seeing, as ourselves, seeing projects using it at a more of an enterprise sort of scale, 300 plus sort of projects at any given time. There was another question I've just seen come through. Kim, how are you? So let me get to, from a project budget perspective, can you allocate dollar value to tasks undertaken, tied back to team member KPIs? How long does it take to set up or customize business needs, and what steps are involved? Yeah, absolutely. I'll answer that in 2 ways. Kim, you can, we're tying budget to milestones and timelines, but we're also looking at the demand impact across the resources within our business. So, for example, in our team, we've got enterprise architects and solution architects that are delivering technology outcomes for our clients. We need to make sure we're not over allocating those guys and girls. So we're looking at what loading they've got across multiple projects in the portfolio. We're also tying, as I said, both the investment of effort and time to dollars, but also the achievement of milestones and slippage to dollars as well. How long does it take to set up and customize to your business needs? Look, it's a bit of a how long is a piece of string. It really depends on the scope of that setup. The initial deployment is relatively quick. We've built the tool set, we've built the integrations, we've built the dashboards, so that initial and putting your logo on it, that's all fairly straightforward. We really like to spend some time with your portfolio executive and project managers to get that first couple of project templates built and in, and that can takes that 2 to 4 week time frame. But again, that is caveated on sometimes there's an extensive project portfolio, and it will take us a little bit longer to work with you and the team to get it built in. I think that draws us to the end. QR code there that would love to continue some conversation and tailor that conversation to your organisation. If there's any other questions, you can jump in now. We've gone a couple of minutes over. I really appreciate everybody staying on. That's a great thing. So yeah, any other questions that I can field right now? Oh yeah. Here we go. Thanks, Kim. Can it be integrated with software that is not listed at the start of the presentation? Absolutely, Kim, we can. So I think one of the key points and one of the key integrations that we've developed is an integration into Microsoft Fabric. So Microsoft Fabric, and 99.9% of organizations out there are underpinned by some kind of Microsoft investment. We developed a data platform as a service, which allows us to integrate anything coming out of Smartsheet into a centralized data repository, so that data asset can be used across multiple integrations, becomes a bit of a source of truth, so that we're not creating a spaghetti mess of integrations going everywhere point to point, that we're bringing it into a central hub and using that hub as a source of truth to create workflows, create insights, do what you may with it. All right, Phil, I think that was an awesome demo, Simon. Also, great content in that preso. So I appreciate both of your time there, and for the people listening along and joining the webinar, thank you as well. It's been great to run you through it. Look forward to continuing conversation where we can.